Welcome to another episode of the Rhythm of the Road podcast. This podcast is not just about the journey, but also about the growth, transformation, and self-discovery that comes with life on the proverbial road. Grab a cup of joe, buckle up, and let's embark on a journey of self-discovery, creativity, and entrepreneurship. Let's get rolling.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Rhythm of the Road podcast. First of all, I just want to thank you for stopping by, checking back, or hanging out with us for the journey. I appreciate you. I appreciate the time, and I know it's a very important thing, especially this time of year. So thank you for stopping by. I'm coming to you on this episode after hitting a milestone, right? Because anybody who makes it past the first 8 episodes of a podcast has made it farther than like 80% of the rest of the people who decided to start a podcast. So here I am hitting milestone number 1, and I'll share some more along the way as I start to hit them. First of all, thank you again, beyond grateful. And I hope to be saying the same thing when I hit episode number 100. But what I want to talk about today is something that I literally just experienced last night. I was having this conversation. I was doing a radio interview. I went in and I brought a guest and I gave him an opportunity to be showcased, and we could kind of talk about music and the process and all these kinds of different pieces that go into the music business. But the DJ shared something really powerful and impactful, and I wanted to share it with you guys today. And that's just, he shared a story of somebody who had gone into an art class and was talking to a group of students, and they were working on a painting, and they were working on this new project that they were working on. And the teacher had gone by one student who had sat for almost the entire class and was staring just at a blank canvas. And the teacher walked by and the student said, "I've just been struggling. I don't know what to draw. I don't know where to start. I don't know what to begin." And the teacher just grabbed a brush, walked over to the canvas and went whoosh, and just drew a line right across it. And he said, "There, start from that." And it just like, all 3 of us were impacted, but we're in that room when he was telling that story. All 3 of us just had this huge aha moments, even though he had shared that story before. And of course, it was our first time hearing it. I was like, that's so true. Sometimes we sit and we stare at that blank canvas. We stare at this plan. We stare at this idea. We stare at this theme. We stare at all these things. All we got to do is just draw that first line. Sometimes we hear it coined the phrase, draw your line in the sand. Sometimes I feel like that drawing that line in the sand is like we're cutting off, or yes, we might be stopping one thing or stepping into a new thing. But what if that line in the sand is just a beginning point? What if we thought it as the starting line and someone just shot the starter gun and we heard that pop or that crack of that gun, and now we just need to move forward? And in the creative space, we talk about it like from the painter, like just draw a line or make some sort of brush stroke onto the canvas or whatever medium you're working on. Or as songwriters, we get stuck all the time. Like we overanalyze everything. We want it to be some profound thing that we're going to say. And sometimes all we have to do is start with a phrase, even if it is start with a line. What if that was the starting line? It doesn't matter where you started from, because it's going to evolve, it's going to grow, it's going to change. It has to. Otherwise, you're not going to get better. The piece of art isn't going to get better. The song isn't going to get better. Your business isn't going to get better. Your life also is not going to get better. So just start making those lines, and don't think of lines as in like I'm cutting these things off, but maybe they're lines to connect to whatever's next. It gives you the chance to be like, okay, well, I had to draw this line so that I could make that line or that curve or that crossroad 10 lines down the road. We call it the rhythm of the road for a reason, right? Because we're going with the rhythm, the pulse, the pacing of our life. And sometimes that road has a curve, or it has a bend, or sometimes it leans you to the side. Sometimes you're going along a 1.5 lane road on the ridge of a mountain with a valley that is 20,000 feet below you, and there's no guardrail. Sometimes you just need to ride that curve and just take it easy so that you can get to the wide open 6 lane highway where you can go 100 miles an hour and just be running for the hills. So just start with a line, start with an idea, and then move on to the next idea that idea created from that. When I'm producing songs in the studio and I'm working with a new artist and we're talking about their song and what do they want it to be, and so I do lots of listening to them. What are their words? What are their thoughts? What are their emotions? And then I transfer all of that information that I've taken in. I start with that line of whatever they've given me, and then I go connect all the other dots to make all those lines make this beautiful picture of a song. And I go find those dots that are the most magnificent connection to that song that they can be. So I think of it in terms of like finding the right player for the song, not because I think that this guy is cool or that girl has this lick and this guy can do that and over there she can do this, but like, does that person fit this? Does that person fit this? If they don't, then they go away. And sometimes I get them in and I'm like, well, they didn't really fit together. This thing has to leave. And then now, because I have a new line or a new image or a new painting to work with, I can bring someone else in that can also be then inspired by that. So let the first line you make be what inspires you to make the second line, and then make the third line and make the fourth line, which ultimately makes you make that 99th line and line 100, or in this case, episode number 100. Just keep making those lines, keep connecting those dots, keep doing those things, keep on pushing forward. They're going to lead you to the next thing. You might not always like where it led you or how it got you there, but know that through that process, there's a reason. It's guiding you somewhere, and it's going to get you to where you really want to go. So thank you again for taking some time in your day to invest in yourself. If you found this of value, do me a favor, just share it with someone. I'm not going to ask you to do anything more than that today. Just share it with somebody that might also need to hear this message today, and someone else that might need to just start with a line. Thank you.
Thanks for cruising with me on this episode of Rhythm of the Road. Remember, the journey itself is the destination. Until next time, keep the rhythm flowing, and we'll see you down the road.